Caro e Cabo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's second Sunday, so you know I'm hype, always so hype and so happy to be with my peoples and to be sharing with you today on this important topic of the reading of the year. What does it mean? Which ones apply to us? What is that all about? And so I am so happy to be here with you. For those of you who might be new, I am your favorite scholar priestess, Iyafunlayo, PhD. I am a scholar of African and diasporic religions, as well as a priestess of Obatala, Oshun, and Ifa. And I love nothing more than sharing all of what I have to offer with you and to introducing African spirituality, especially to those who are new, as well as to helping those who are experienced go a little bit deeper with their practice. So, welcome this morning, Ajala, Maria, Donna, Dorothy, Ife, my goddaughter, blessings, Patsy, Terry, Ebony, hey, darling, Deidre, Adesanya, Denise, Tawana, Diane, Shantice, Shayla, hey, honey, Latasha, Ellison, Tiffany, Tracy, Fumi, y'all are here and y'all are ready. I love it. I love it. I love it. Blessings, blessings. If you have questions, you can click the questions tab and drop them there. And if you are watching on IG or on Facebook, you can join us on our dedicated platform at you can go to tiny.cc, that's tiny.cc/second Sundays in order to join us over on the dedicated platform. Ask your questions, get your shout outs, and all of that. So I am so blessed, happy to be with you as always. It is the second Sunday of January, the second Sunday of 2020. This is about to be a year, y'all. If you were at the Black Spirit Solstice Summit, you remember me saying that this is a year of manifestation. This is a year for things that have been in the works to come to fruition. And if you were at prayer and meditation this morning, you recall that I shared something that has been in the works for me for almost 10 years now. So know that I'm not immune to this, right? No, none of us are immune to things taking a little bit longer than we maybe think they should take. But and I'm going to get into that in a minute, because even the reading that came up for my community for the year said that this is a year that things that have been taking, seem to have taken maybe longer than we think they should, will come to fruition. And so I'm super excited to release a meditation. I'm still saying CD and dating myself, right? But not a physical CD, but to release a meditation CD that's going to be available to you soon. And I played one of the tracks. The people at prayer and meditation this morning were the very first to hear it, other than my fabulous producer. Shout out to Adrian, aka TT of TT Talks. You can check her out at tttalks.com. You know I'm all about all Black women, everything. So my producer, my web builder, everybody that I work with on the team is a sister. I'm adorned by sisters. These are from Lost Queens. Y'all know I love me some Lost Queens. You can use my code FUNLAYO to get a discount over there. They've got cute stuff. The Sable Collective, got my little Africa going on. And this is from my beloved Mama Coco, straight from Senegal. You know, she be hooking it up and be fly if you know her. So I'm just so grateful. I'm going to jump right in. You know how I do. I jump right in. And those that will be watching it in the replay, y'all watch it in the replay. Anybody that is having any kind of technical difficulties, I'm also on live on Facebook as well as Instagram, but I'll be taking questions and everything here on our dedicated platform at expertise.tv. Hey, Donna. Hey, Maria. Blessings to y'all. Thank you for the love. So this issue of the reading of the year, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to start from the basics. What is it? What does this even mean, right? We hear this terminology and a lot of people are talking about it right now. So what is it? Well, before we get into that, you know, I like to start us with a little grounding moment. I almost got ahead of myself. I got excited. So just take a moment, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Slowly let it out through your mouth and just take a moment to connect to the moment. to feel my gratitude to you for being here, for your energy, for your enthusiasm about learning. Ashe, and I give thanks in this moment to my elders, my teachers. I pray that I represent them well, to all of the spirits, to all of the energies that we walk with. May they serve and may I speak and may I serve well. Ashe, 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 Ashe. Ah, yes, Ashe. Hey, Terry. Terry says, I need that meditation CD. Ashe. It's going to be there for you soon, soon, soon. So, yes, the reading of the year. What is this? What does it mean? What's it all about? Well, let's talk about what readings in general mean, right? And if you haven't watched my video on divination, please go and check that out. You'll be able to check that out at asheeray.com. The site is actually under construction right now, but there is a link on the page that will lead you to my videos, booking readings, and all of those other things. So I have a video about divination, and the reading of the year is a form of divination. What is divination? Divination is a way of glancing up, down, side to side to see what energies are surrounding us at any given time, right? We want to see what energies, what lies before us, what lies behind us, and what lies around us at all times. And this is one of the beauty parts of African spirituality, is that we believe that we are able to connect with and communicate with our divine beings, and that they are able to give us clear direction. Clear direction. Yeses and nos, go this way, not that way. They are able to communicate with us clearly through what we call divination. And so, this happens in a number of ways, right? Divination can take many, many forms, as I talked about in that other lecture. There is bone divination, there are cards, there is shells, there's water gazing, there's mirror divination. There are a plethora of different types of divination. Within the Ifa Orisha tradition, we use a few different materials to perform divination, including the kola nut, right? In the diaspora, we use the coconut, and it's actually used on the continent as well. That's a part of what I'll be talking about in my book that'll be coming out soon, 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 about this connection between the kola nut and the coconut. Those are two materials that we use. We also use in Ifa divination the palm nuts, or ikinifa. We also use what's called an opele, or a divining chain, right? So these are some of the different materials that we use for divination. The kola nut, as I will also discuss in the book, is probably the most common divination medium used in Yoruba land Ifa Orisha practice. And in diaspora Ifa Orisha practice, the coconut is the most common used. It's used to speak to and gain messages from the ancestors and all of the various Orisha. And it's probably the medium that we use the most. So anytime we make offerings, when we're doing our prayers as an offering, the kola nut itself is an offering for the Orisha. And so we will use it to communicate with them and give it to them as an offering. Other forms of divination take place less frequently, right? And it depends on your level of practice and all of that. But the Ifa readings and readings with shells, known as Merindin that are done by Orisha priests, less frequent than the Obi divination, which we will typically do every few days, right? And so this leads me into talking about calendars. So when we start to talking about the reading of the year, one of the big questions is, whose year are we talking about? What are we talking about? Right? Because most of us who are watching here have been raised in the West, raised with what we know as the Gregorian calendar, right? That's the standard calendar that we are used to using here in the US and in other parts of the world, that starts in January, that ends in December, 12 months, 52 weeks, 365 days, sometimes 366, right? That's the calendar that we are used to. And many of us, that's the only calendar we're aware of. But there are various calendars. Different cultures of the world have traditionally, I'll say the Gregorian calendar is also a solar calendar, right? It's based on the movement of the sun. Many other cultures have had different calendars that they've used, some based on the moon or other factors, and the Yoruba have their own calendar as well. And so the traditional Yoruba calendar had 4 days per week, had 13 months per year, 91 weeks, right? And so the year looked very different in terms of the length of it and in terms of when the new year started. So in traditional Yoruba calendar, the new year starts in what we now know in the Gregorian calendar as the month of June. And so typically it would be based on moon cycles, but to kind of help it reconcile a little bit with the Gregorian calendar, the June 3rd was selected as the day that is the new year in the traditional Yoruba calendar. So if you've heard, if as January came in and you've heard people maybe mentioning this idea that the new year is in June, this is what they're talking about. The fact that the traditional Yoruba calendar, the year began in June, in what the Gregorian June. Okay, so that's that. And so, whether we consider the new year in June or whether we consider the new year in January, the process of reading the energy of the year is something that transcends, regardless of which calendar we're using. Because the idea is that in Orisha practice, we believe again that we are able to communicate with our divinities. We believe that we should communicate with our divinities, that Ifa says those who know don't die like those who don't know, right? And so the idea of knowing what lies before you, glancing up, down, side to side, knowing what lies ahead of you, knowing the energies around you, and as I always point out, knowing how to deal with and interact with those energies, right? Knowing how to perform alchemy to get those energies moving in your favor. That is really what it's all about. It's not just about gaining information, but it is also about being able to put that information into action, right? It's all about action and all about being able to sidestep the hardships and usher in the things that are meant for us and the things that are good. So we give thanks and praise for being able to do that and to be able to connect with our divinities when we do it. As I mentioned, with the traditional week being 4 days, each one of those days is dedicated to an Orisha. And shout out to Maumoawo Iyadi. She has been making a calendar, and other folks do this as well, calendars that reconcile the Gregorian with the traditional week in order to keep us aligned with which days correspond to which Orisha days, because in the traditional week, those 4 days corresponded to the various Orisha. And so the first day belonged to Obatala, the second to Ifa, the third to Ogun, and the fourth to Shango. And then, of course, because there are a number of different spirits, they shared those days amongst them. And I talk about that a little bit in one of my other lectures, so I'm not going to go so deep into that. But when we perform our divination every 4 days, the 4 day, we do our offering to whichever one of those spirits that we have, who is associated with that day. And so what this means is that depending on which spirits a person is dedicated to and which ones they have, you might potentially be giving offerings every day, right? At least every 4 days, performing divination, giving offerings every day, every 4 days. And that's because the energy around us changes, right? The only universal law that we have is change. Change is the only constant in the universe. And so that is why even when we get, readings, the idea is that we have to act on that energy soon after it's revealed to us, because that energy can change. It doesn't mean that I've often been asked about this, how long does a reading last, or what's the kind of expiration date, if you will. And really, it's a cycle. So some people will say 21 days, some will say 17 days. That was traditionally the cycle in between doing deeper readings, right, with materials other than the kola nut. Some will say 30 days to, but it's a short cycle. The moon cycle, right, 28 days. know that typically and depend, a normal reading will be about a shorter cycle of time, and that's the time in which really any rituals that you should be doing, that you should have done, should be done right within that period and window of time. So if you were curious about that, just know that that is the best way to go about that when you're dealing with ritual. This is why, as I mentioned in one of my other lectures as well, I don't read Ifa for everyone or even recommend Ifa readings for everyone, depending on your level of involvement, right? Because when we have a reading with Ifa specifically, there are rituals that are meant to be carried out, and they're meant to be carried out within a certain period of time. And so if you're not quite sure, it's okay, but it's just important to know yourself. Look, I'm not as dedicated to this yet. I'm not going to commit beforehand to performing this ritual. Let me maybe do a different type of reading that isn't going to generate that type of ritual. And so that's part of why the spirits led me to continue reading my cards and doing my intuitive spiritual readings, because I can then point a person in the direction of, listen, you really need an Ifa reading and to do these rituals, or, recognize that that's not necessary at the time without generating a ritual right off the bat, right? And so moving back into talking about the reading of the year, like I said, regardless of if it's June or if it's January, the reading of the year is a practice that takes place within communities of looking at what the energy of the coming year is going to be, looking at which divinities are likely to be walking most closely with us, looking at what the general energy around us is likely to be at this time. And so in June, a reading was done. So actually, let me take one step back and just say that traditionally, these readings would have been done within a family, within a community. The idea of reading for all the devotees in the world wasn't really a concept, because the community was much smaller then. But as we know, the Orisha community through various processes has grown so that there are Orisha practitioners all over the world now. And so the tradition came about of performing readings on behalf of of all practitioners in the world to look at what the energy is likely to be like for us. And so in June, there was a reading of the year done at Oke Itase, which is the World Ifa Temple in Ile-Ife, Nigeria. And the Odu that was revealed from that reading was Otura Meiji. And so one of the messages here is that Ifa sees fortune for all believers this year. Just to give you an example of some of the messages that can come out in a reading. It says that people will prosper over their business. People who are planning to travel out of their place of birth will prosper there. There's some offerings in order to manifest the prophecy. Also, anyone who is sick should make sacrifice with certain items. And so these are messages that are given. This particular reading was done, as I said, at Okeitase and Ile-Ife on behalf of all Ifa devotees in the world. And so the idea is that this energy is to influence, right? I don't like to say govern because that makes it sound too cut and dry. And as we'll talk about, there's more than one reading, and a couple of you asked about this. And so thinking about which ones apply to us, how closely to apply a reading to us, is one thing that we will talk about here. And so that reading came out in June of 2019, because as I mentioned, the traditional Yoruba calendar starting in June. And so that's one reading that came out. There's also a reading of the year that is done in Cuba. And this reading is done for the world as well. And it's done in January based on the Gregorian calendar. And so let's see here. It's become, I actually hadn't looked up what this one is. Ogunda Bode, Biode. Okay, so another reading was done on behalf of the world in Cuba, and that reading is done in January. And so I'm not going to put too much emphasis on these because, as I'm going to mention, really, and as someone asked, and let's see, I'm going to jump to the questions so I can. Okay, sorry, I see. All right, some people are saying they're having issues with the broadcast. I am sorry. I don't know what's going on. If you're able to see and hear, can you type yes in the comment box just so I know that you're able to see and hear? This is for the people on the dedicated platform. Um, Let me just get everybody straight. All right, if you're on expertise.tv with me and you can see and hear, please say yes so that I know we're able to see and hear together over here. Thank you for those on Instagram. Oh, yes. And also, if you're trying to connect from a phone, I don't think it works on phones. So that might be part of the issue. Um, okay. Yes, I see. It's the phone piece. All right. Thank you everybody who said yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. Okay. All right. Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. And I will definitely find out what goes on with this. This is a new platform for us and so we're still working out some of the little kinks with it. I see everybody saying that okay. All right. Wonderful, beautiful. Thank you. Somebody said it is working on their phone. All right. It may just depend on the phone. This technology thing. Thank you so much for helping me out with that. And so, as I said, I'm not going to focus too much on those readings because, as I said, traditionally, this is something that is done for and within a community, right? And so, for those who asked, which readings of the year, someone said, okay, Sharon said, I've seen several different types of readings of the year. There's a general annual Ifa reading of the year. Then I've seen different readings done by Ianifa and separate ones done for specific Ilays. Sometimes all the info is very different. Do you feel like one should apply them all? Which one should one pay more attention to? Right. So, should you apply them all? Absolutely not. You will drive yourself crazy trying to listen to every single reading of the year that you hear come out from Ileife, from Cuba, from this house, from that house. So no, it's okay to check them all out. Like I like to look at them and kind of see what information, especially information that's repeated. But generally speaking, in terms of which ones you should apply, it would be the ones that are done by your own elders if you're in a community, and also your own personal reading of the year, which we'll talk about. So those are the two that I would say if you're talking about um, which one to really follow, those would be the two. Hello, Andrew. Shout out, Baba. How you doing? Oyafumi, darlings. Good to see y'all. Okay, so don't drive yourself crazy trying to follow 15 readings of the year because remember, this is all meant. Let me just take a general note, right? Y'all know that I am someone who is I keep things simple. I keep things very simple. I don't like to overcomplicate things. I don't like to overburden people because spirituality is supposed to make life better. I am a strong believer of that. It is supposed to help you down your path. It is supposed to help clarify things. It is not supposed to make things more complicated and have you running around crazy and thinking like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, why, it's no, that's not what it's meant for. So trying to have you follow 10, 15, 20 different readings, that would drive you crazy, right? And that's not what this is meant to do. It is meant to clarify your path. And so the reading that is the closest to you is the one that you would follow most intimately. And that would be a personal reading of the year that you would have done with your elder. Someone had asked about whether we should do, if it's okay to do we have to get our reading of the year from our elder, or if it could be somebody else. Now, that is for you and your elder to talk about. Different houses and temples and ilays have different protocols about who you should be getting readings from. And so that's what I'll say as far as that's concerned. Ask your elder if what their policy is with that in general, because some elders don't like you just going to get readings from anybody, and I don't agree that that's a good practice. And so it helps too when people know us, when they come to know our energy a bit. And there are times that it does help to get a reading possibly from someone who doesn't know us as well. But in general, it's best to establish a relationship with a diviner whose energy you know and who understands your energy, rather than going from place to place. And for most people, that will be their spiritual elder. And, quite frankly, because I keep it real, if you don't feel confident in your spiritual elder's ability to read you and check out what's going on with you, then that may mean that there's an issue there as far as why is that person your elder, right? If you don't feel confident in their ability to read you, or you feel like you consistently feel like you want to go somewhere else, or you're not feeling that connection. So those are things to keep in mind. Every one of the messages that came out in another reading of the year that I heard, and again, I listened to a lot of them because good knowledge is good knowledge, right? Good information is good information. But it was about really paying attention to divination and being sure that we have a good connection with our diviners. And so, and also recognize when we have gone as far as we can with somebody. Sometimes the same car that takes us from A to C is not going to take us from D to Z, right? We go from A to C with somebody, and then we go from D to L with the next person, and then we go from M to Z with the next, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And so for all of us, just to know that this is supposed to help clarify the readings, our relationships with our diviners, with our elders, is supposed to help clarify life, not make it more complicated. So always go for the simple answer. Always, try to connect with what is the simplest. Someone said, Mary said, from what I understand, this is Oshun's year from my Babalao's understanding, correct? As I mentioned, it's not as simple as correct or not correct. It depends on who that reading was for and all of that. So for different people, different energies will stand forward for them throughout the year. So there's a tradition of kind of looking into which Orisha or energy is ruling the year, so to speak. And so for Mary, she said her Babalao read that it was Oshun. For us, in my community that my Baba read, it is Eshu and Olokun. Okay, so those are the two who are ruling for us. And so again, this may be different based on your Ile. This may be different as well based on your personal reading, right? Which is the one that's going to be the closest to you, is your personal reading. So you may get told that it's none of those and that you should really stay closest to Obatala this year. And so I would, stay close to them all, right? Because I'd be trying to get all my blessings from everywhere I get them. But understand that this is not, with the readings of the year, this is not a matter of if someone is right and someone is wrong. It's more a matter of which ones apply to you, which frequencies apply to you, just like everything in Orisha. Nothing is completely cut dry, this is what it is. It's all energetic frequencies and how they are working with us. Someone asked about how the uninitiated are expected to use the reading of the year. Would one review it in correspondence with life path numbers, horoscopes, natal charts? Janelle asked that. Well, whether we're initiated or not, it intended again to augment the other information that we have about ourselves. So if you are someone who also reads your life path numbers, who reads your horoscopes, who reads your natal charts, then yeah, all of that information can be aggregated together. And again, look particularly at those things that are repeated messages. So if your life path number reading, your horoscope, your natal chart, and your Ifa reading are all saying the same thing in one area, that's likely an area that you really need to pay attention to, right? So whether we're initiated or not, the information that we obtain is absolutely meant to be used in conjunction with other information that we receive. For those who may not have an elder or a house, in terms of which reading you use, I would really advise getting a personal reading if you want to have an understanding of your energies of the year. Because if you're not really attached to a community, and then this is my understanding. Again, I'm just telling you from my perspective is that if you're not really attached to a community, then none of the community's readings, while you can take the information from them, because again, if good information is good information, in terms of how closely it's going to relate to you, it's better for you to get a personal reading to get that close information for yourself. Let's see what other questions we have. Are all Ilays reporting from the same reading of the year, or are they all different according to the reading of that Iya or Baba? Yeah, as I mentioned, they're different depending on who reads them. And so again, this isn't a matter of this one's right and that one's wrong, but it's energies and frequencies. And as we see, there's a lot of there, as I've read and looked at them, there's a lot of overlap. So what is the overlap that I'm seeing? One big overlap that I saw between the Ileife reading, the Cuba reading, and the reading that my Baba did, which was Ogbe Alara, Ogbe Otura, is that this is going to be a year for blessings, business wise, money wise. And in particular, with the reading for us in Ogbe Otura, it talks about what I mentioned at the Black Spirit Solstice Summit, because I already had a feeling, again, and numerologically, right, for the person who asked about that, because of the numbers of this year, the 22, the 4, it's a year of completion and a year of things coming full circle and a year of hard-earned goals being completed, right? This isn't the year to like start something and it's done now, but it's really the time when all those things that we've been working on are likely to come to fruition. There's also an emphasis on male energies, right, that comes across these, and a heat to these odus, right, that have come out. And so the idea that cooling is going to be really necessary throughout this year, and we can see we're entering the year in a conflict, right, that's going on with our country, and don't even get me into all of that, but you heat and conflict. So the idea of needing to cool ourselves, right? That's something that has come across in several different readings. The idea of honoring the ancestors, particularly the male lineages, and parading, if you have Egungun masquerades, or if you're, an Egungun priest and know what I mean by that, is a time to bring the masquerades out and really have them dance and clean the community. So those are some things that are repeated and that have come across in various readings. And so those are the things that we hear repeated like that are the things that I tend to pay the most attention to. Right. And again, if your personal reading now comes back and says honor the ancestors too, like, okay, let me make sure I'm getting these candles lit, this water down, this food cooked, and doing all of that, right? So Ashe. Renee asked about the 2 readings for the year. I mentioned that. For us babies, oh sweet Keisha, how often should we have readings in addition to the reading of the year? Well, it depends. Everybody has a different destiny that they come to Earth with. I will say that. So for some people, it's more necessary to get readings more frequently than for others. And this has nothing to do with levels of initiation, whether you're a baby or experienced. This is just in general. Um, this is something you come to know through receiving your hand of Ifa, through finding out your life path and kind of understanding what energy you tend to walk with, what energy your Ori tends to walk with. For some of us, life is more complicated, right? It feels harder. It takes us longer to do things. You know, we need more direction. We need more. And part of if what I love about Ifa Orisha and what I love about African spirituality in general is that it really challenges us to look at and get to know ourselves on many different levels. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong or bad or negative about you. It just means that you need a little bit more, you know, push to do the things that you need to do, whether that be through extra readings, whether that be through extra rituals, whatever that might be. And so, what I tend to say is if you get readings, like for me, readings tend to come out. If I just get a reading, like, oh, let me just get a reading, right? It will tend to look almost the same. I get the same messages over and over and over again. Um, you know, and so that lets me know that everything is kind of on the path. Now there may be a time when I need to make a specific decision, or if I'm feeling a certain kind of way that things are a little bit off, or whatever the case may be, I may feel like I need a reading a little more frequently. But for me, I don't need readings super frequently. I do, of course, read my cola every 4 days, and I do my offerings like that. For others, it's needed more. I would say I wouldn't recommend getting them more often than once a month, and even that's a lot, because especially if we're talking Ifa, or a reading that's going to generate ritual, you don't need to do it that frequently. Maybe every 3 months. Um, you know, it really depends. And if we're talking about, you know, you can also, there are ways to check into things for yourself. So I'm a strong believer that everybody, that means you, should have some divination tool that they use themselves, whether that's a pendulum, whether that's cards, whether that's obi, whatever it is, that you at least every, you know, few days, once a week, you have some regularity to it, that you know, pull a card, do something to check into the energy around yourself, and that lets you know if you need, you know, to get a reading. So that's kind of how I tend to work things, and I get readings when my own personal divination reveals that I may need one, right? But definitely, you know, don't let divination replace your good sense. Shagbo, your brain, your head. Ori is your first divination tool. So make sure that you don't get a reading, as shout out to Iya Attila, who says, you know, don't have a reading when all you really need was a conversation or to make a decision about something. Right. And big decisions, of course, we can read like, yes, is this in my best interest? Is this in my destiny? But don't come to the spirits with no nonsense that you already know is nonsense, talking about should I do this, because they're gonna be looking at you like, Eshu will be like, yeah, go ahead and see what happens. All right, right, you want to play, they're gonna play. Right, so use your sense first is the point. Absolutely, use the sense first. Let's see, is the reading of the year that's the subject of this session different than one's personal reading for the year? Any tips on regarding considering or following the two, especially if they don't seem to complement or outright conflict? Yes, I would, as I mentioned, follow your own personal reading first, because that's the closest to you. You know, the reading of the year for the world and everybody else could be saying, you know, this is a terrible time, or, you know, God forbid it would say that, but whatever, you know, it may say. And then yours is like, look, you're going to get money, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. So don't let, yeah, whatever reading is closest to you is the one to kind of override. But of course, one of the messages from Ogbe Otura that we got for this year reminds us, oh, and this is a message. I'm about to preach. Listen up, about to preach, because this happens all too often. Obealara reminds us. Matter of fact, I think I need to tell you the story. Yes, that my Baba told at the reading. So, like the hit go. There was a hunter, and he went out to make his hunt. And before he went, like a good man should, he went and he had divination. The diviner told him that the hunt would go well, but that he should make a ball. He said, well, if the hunt is gonna go well, then why do I need to make a bow? Let me just go and go on the hunt. So he went on the hunt and he managed to kill an elephant. Wow, this is meat, this is skin, this is tusk, this is everything for his community for a long time. He knew the people would just be praising him and be so, so, so happy. So he ran back to tell the people, hey, I've killed an elephant. We're going to eat for weeks. We're going to have some time together. And please just come back and help me carry the elephant back to the town so that everybody can eat and be happy. And so they went rushing off into the woods to go to the place where he had killed the elephant. And lo and behold, when they got there, it was gone. Guess who moved it? Eshu Odara Anika Losoro. Eshu moved the elephant. So it was gone. And the people looked around at the hunter and said, hey, what's wrong with you? I thought you said you killed an elephant. Don't waste our time again. This is craziness. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So they all went away and they were very annoyed. And he was so frustrated. So he went back to the diviner. And the diviner told him once again that his hunt would go well, but that he should make his ebo. He once again said, if it's going to go well, I don't need to make the ebo. So he went once again and he said, this time, he thought he was smart. He said, this time, I will take a small boy with me. So this small boy will stay there and guard the thing while I go and tell the people to come and help. Okay. So he and the small boy, they go off into the woods and he managed this time to kill a water buffalo. Wow. Big meat, big horns, all of that. The community is going to be so, so, so happy. Wow. So he runs, he tells the small boy, listen, small boy, hey, small boy, you have a very important job to do. You stay right here. Stay here. Don't go another place. Don't look left. Don't look right. Don't go another place. Just stay here. I'm coming with the people to carry the water buffalo back to the town. So he runs off to the town. While he's gone, Eshu Odara Nigan Lo Soro, here comes Eshu. This time disguised as an old man. Well, if you know anything about Yoruba culture, you know that if an old man asks a small boy to do something, he must do it. So the old man says, small boy, small boy, small boy, Ejo, Jo, I need some water. I need Omi. Ejo, come. Go and get water for me. So the small boy rushes off to get water for the old man who was really Eshu. Well, when the small boy comes back, the water buffalo is gone. In its place, a big rock. And the small boy sits himself atop the rock and just begins to cry. He doesn't know what to do. Just at that moment, here comes the hunter with all the people from the town. They are playing bells. Hey, ding, 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 hey, ding, 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 ding. Yes, he's killed a water buffalo. We will eat. Oh, we are happy. They get there and they see there's nothing but a rock. What is going on with this hunter? He tells us he killed an elephant. He tells us he killed a water buffalo. He didn't just do anything. He has us going crazy. We don't even know what is going on. This is craziness. So they just run away again. They say, hey, don't come and tell us any other thing because you lie. You lie. He said, hey, I didn't lie. Small boy, please tell them. The small boy said, yes, it's true, but no evidence. So the people run away and the hunter sits there with the small boy and the small boy says, Baba, hello, Baba. You have to go down like this when you talk to elders in Yoruba. You can't just stand and look them in the face. You have to go down. Say, Baba, Joe, I think you said that the diviner told you to make one sacrifice. Please, can we just go and make the sacrifice and maybe then everything will be okay? So they go, they make the sacrifice, and the next animal that he kills, everything goes fine. The townspeople come and help him. The elephant, the water buffalo, they both end up in the town, and everybody eats and everybody's happy. Dun, 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 dun. Singing the hunter's praises because he followed his ebo and he listened to the advice of a child. So, couple of things. We see Tish said hard headed. Yep. Super hard headed. Some of y'all hard headed. You know that? It's not only him. Some of y'all hard headed too. I know personally because some of y'all I done did readings for, and then when you call me back for another reading, and I say, "Well, did you do what I told you to do last time?" And you say, "Oh, yeah, well, what happened was." Right? Go ahead. Say, you don't have to say nothing, but just know it's me and you. I know, right? So sometimes we're hard-headed, and sometimes in particular, and this is why I wanted to preach, we think that when things are going well, that means that we don't need to do our rituals, that means we don't need to do what we need to do. Hello, somebody. I'm going to say it again. We think that when things are going well, that means we don't have to do our rituals and do the things that we need to do, right? Oh, everything is great now. I got money full up, pocket full of money. Yeah, I got money for my ebos. I got money for everything. But you know what? I don't need that right now. But then when things aren't going well, right? You come with your pockets turned inside out, say, yeah, Baba, look, I don't have money for my ritual, but everything is going crazy. I need, right? So understand that when things are going well, that is the time to make your ritual. That is the time to make your abo. That is the time to continue making your prayers and making sure that everything continues to go well. Because it's loss and gain that make the world. Loss and gain. There is not one of us on this earth who will not experience loss, no matter how much we gain. And so when we are making the gains, when we are doing well, that is the time to give that thanksgiving, to take a portion. That's where the whole concept of tithing and giving a portion of what we have, right? That's one of, and it's not, in many different traditions, this is the case. And this was part of the way that we did it in Ifa, was the things that we brought to the temple, the offerings and things like that. That was a part of contributing, because when you bring, if each person brings a bottle of gin, let's say, or some cola nuts to the temple, that means that I don't have to go out and buy it. That's a dedication and a donation that you're making for the next people who come, right? So when things are going well, when you making that big money, you bring your 10%, your 5%, your $30 a month, whatever the offering may be that you're giving, right? All of that. Okay, yo, honey, I don't know what that was about, honey, but okay. Yes. So we definitely need to make sure that we do what we need to do when things are going well. Oh, that's okay. I was like, I know that must have been a typo. That's okay. I'm glad you're enjoying. I like to keep it lively. Laughter, Obatala is the owner of laughter, and laughter is, very, very important. Ayo, joy is so important for us. So remember, that's another, as a matter of fact, let me toast. Think we toast our glasses, because one of the very important things that I didn't say from Ogbe Alara, which was our reading by my Baba, shout out to Awo Olole Fakunle, Ogbe Otura, is to drink and celebrate together. To drink and celebrate together. It says that we should use spirits, alcoholic beverages, to make parties and have fun with our friends, but that we should be careful not to drink them ourselves too much, really at all, for some of us. But definitely not not to drink too much ourselves, but to share drinks and to share spirits and to share partying and celebration with our friends and the people around us who love us. So please, I take a sip of my smoothie. That ain't no alcohol just yet. It's still only 9 something in the morning over here, but it's a smoothie. I'm toasting my smoothie to life for all of us. Yeah, so ire owo, ire omo, ire aiku for 2020 for all of us and beyond. Ashe. Mm-hmm. Ashe, oh, ashe, ashe. Mary said I had a glass of wine at 10 a.m. Why lie? Look, I'm about to join you. I got a little bit of mezcal. Matter of fact, you know what? It's always time for libations. You know, the ancestors call for it. So let's see what I got here. This is some handmade. Oh, matter. And look at this. Look at this, y'all. It's the Dia de los Muertos edition. So this is the ancestral mezcal that I brought back from my trip to Mexico. Shout out to those of you who were following me on IG. So, yes, a real libation. Thank you for inspiring me, Mary. I appreciate that. Libation. Ashe otora la le muirete la le ra oti o la la wonumu. We give libation to the ancestors. Mm. We give libation. This is a Himalayan love. What y'all know about that? You know, I got to show off a little bit. This is that Himalayan salt shot glass. What you know about that with the Mexican mezcal? Ashe, the ancestors, they bless us. So, Ashe, Ashe. Y'all got me acting up. Why y'all like to see me act up? That's what happens when I hang out with y'all. Make me act up. But yes, that is very important. One of the biggest things um, is to celebrate life. Celebrate life. That's another important thing. Celebrate life. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate your accomplishments. Celebrate. I see my goddaughters up in here. Y'all know, come on now. Don't have me acting up. Leticia Cedillo, I'm in that. Hey, y'all. I'll be acting up a little bit, but it's all for the ancestors. It's all for the spirits. We give thanks and praise. I'm so grateful. We have to celebrate. That's one of the things that we forget a lot of the times. Hey, Fatu, Oyafemi, Ilstorian, Wildflower. Yes. Jody, pop them bottles. We got to pop these bottles for the spirits. We got to laugh and enjoy. That is what life is about. We are supposed to shop. We are supposed to have a good time here in the marketplace, right? This is a temporary place. We know that we're here to connect with one another, here to connect with you, here to enjoy, here to have so much fun, just here to fulfill our destinies, whatever those destinies may be. Know that we each have a purpose and we each have a reason for being here. And ultimately, that's what all readings, all divination, and just circle it back around is all about, right? Finding out what energies are walking with you, what your special contribution is going to be, how you should interact with the world in order for life to be good for you, because that's what we want. Ire owo, ire omo, ire aiku. That's it. Peel off them dollars, get that wealth, get that connection to our families, and live long. That's the blessing. Those are the blessings. So that is what is always intended for us, no matter what. Those are the cardinal blessings. And I pray that for all of you. I pray that you keep your magic manifesting. Remember our mantra for 2020 from the Black Spirit Solstice Summit, my magic manifests. This is a time to really feel that, right? Feel that and know that. That was a type of reading of the year that I did with that, right? Because I really sat with that. The mantras come to me, I really sit with it and I really feel it. And that is what the spirits brought to me to share with you for 2020, right? So that was its own type of reading. And that's for all of y'all. If you want to know what applies to you, that absolutely applies to you. Hey, Maria, yes, shout it out. My magic manifests. Love it, love it, love it. We are winding down to the last couple of minutes. I just want to thank you, as always, for being with me. It's always so much fun. Such a blessing. I am humbled. I am honored. I never take any of this for granted. You can follow me. Come visit me at asheeraid.com. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Wherever you are, I'm there too. You're already a part of the family just by being here. Keisha, you're welcome. And Jerry, you're very welcome. All of those of you who are shouting out, sending hearts, saying thank you, you're very, very, very welcome. And I just really look forward to sharing this time with you. Be sure to join me on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. EST for Orisha prayer and meditation each and every week. That is our time. That's our church, right? That's our time to be together. So please do join us there, really, for a moment of connection with you. Do it with your loved ones. I love to hear the children. That's another message that came out for this year. Please, please, please. Involve your children in what you're doing. Involve your children in what you're doing. Don't wait for them to be able to make their own decisions. Oh, and look at that. Just as I said that, who comes in? My beautiful, wonderful niece who I love so much. Mwah. Make sure you go back to the beginning and watch, right? Involve your children in what you are doing. Involve your children in what you are doing. Oh, Keisha said, my daughter saw you on the screen and said, I want to meet her. Ashe, please bring her to New Orleans. Bring her down to the family reunion. I hope to see many of you there for our Ashe Ire family reunion in April in New Orleans, the weekend of the 17th. More information will be going out about that, so be sure you're on our mailing list. But that was one of the primary messages. They are our legacy. They are the ones who will carry on what we're doing. So if we don't involve them, and it's just like we say, we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Many of us have moved away from Christianity and we've moved away from other forms of spirituality, but we should keep what we should very much keep. And what I aim to keep is the community building things that go on in our churches. That comes from our African ancestry, right? That aspect of the Black church that is about community and about being together and about forging these connections and having Sunday school and having coloring books and having all these different things. We need that. So if you're an artist, if you do children's books, whatever you do, we need you, and we need way, way, way more of it. More. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Terry, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to not answer your question. Let me look and see where you at here. Oh, the question about Eshu. Very quick answer to that question. Yes, Eshu comes first. If you say your Mojuba the way that it is that you would learn it from the ebook, then you'll automatically say blessings and prayers to Eshu and all the rest in turn. But yes, definitely you should greet and give Eshu praise every day. When you're going, and especially when you're going to be giving honor to other Orisha, you do start with at least a little libation and prayer to Eshu. Okay, so I hope that answered the question for you. Much love, Ajala, Akeisha, your former Sunday school teacher. All right, now I'm gonna be tapping on you. Let's go. Let's do it. Ife, much love, my Omo, Denise, Mona. IG, it's about to cut y'all off. So much love and blessings, and I'll see you next time. And remember to come over to the dedicated platform to join the mailing list. Hit the link in bio. Mwah, much love. And for all of you over here with us on our dedicated platform at expertise.tv, I apologize for the technical difficulties. This is a new platform. I'm still working out the kinks, but once it's going smoothly, it's going to be really, really great. I will check with them because it seems like some of you on mobile devices were having issues. That was really what the issue is. For the calendar, I'm typing in this link here. Calendly.com/Funlayo. You can use this link to book readings with me. Okay, I'm available. There was a question as well about when the reading of the year should be done for a person and when is it too late. I generally only do it in January because after that it's technically not a reading of the year anymore, right? If you wait into February and after. So definitely, if you're looking to get a reading of the year for yourself, please do head on over to my calendar. I'm going to try to get this straight with this site. So you'll be able to do everything here and book and do all of that stuff. And I just look forward to being back with you again. My Akekos, my Akeko Circle, and you are all invited to join the Akeko Circle. We will be back together next week for a talk about the book. Oh, no, excuse me, not next week, the 26th. So in 2 weeks, we will be back together again. And then for everyone else, I will see you on second Sunday of February, and also, of course, at prayer and meditation. Much love, much light, just so much appreciation, and all the best, all the ire that you can possibly handle. Asheo.